Hi, I'm Carrie Louise Donnell, naturopathic doctor and founder of the Live Well Center.
And I'm Nancy Fitzgerald. In today's segment, we're going to talk about hormones. No matter what stage of life you're in, they rule your world. Dr. Donnell, hormones. What are some of the common complaints that your patients come to you with?
Insomnia, intractable mood changes, which compromise work, friendships, and marriages. Unfortunately, we joke about it, but it really isn't funny when it's ruining your life. Hot flashes, night sweats, headaches and migraines, and sometimes adult onset acne.
Yeah, not fun. None of that is fun.
No.
So when they come to you, how do you know whether they need medical attention or whether you'll be able to heal them?
You know, I take their case. I sit down with them for an hour and a half and listen to their whole life story. I say, just need to hear your whole life story, that's all. And I go through the labs that they've had performed at their conventional medical doctors' offices. I insist that all my patients have conventional medical doctors in their care team and would never try to replace that for them. And listen to their medical history and symptoms and pick a starting place.
Sure, sure. So when you're treating menopause, what do you do? Like, what do you do with your patients?
You know, everyone's different, and some people have different needs. Some people are eligible to use hormones, some are not. And so I have a pretty good tool bag for people who can't use hormones, for example. We have herbal and nutritional remedies that can make a huge difference without costing any side effects. But for the vast majority of women, they are candidates for hormone replacement therapy. And so I'll go ahead and use bioidentical hormone replacement therapy and then take it one step further and make sure that those hormones are broken down in a way that fight risk instead of causing it.
So bioidentical hormones, what is that?
Bioidentical hormones are plant-based hormones that are molecules that are the same exact molecules that your body makes, whereas synthetic hormones are hormones that are a little bit like the ones your body makes, but also different. They behave differently in your body. They do give you some benefit, but they come with risks as well. They last longer and they message differently.
So when you say message differently, do you have an analogy that you can tell me so I can understand this better?
You know, hormones are known as chemical messengers in the body. They tell you when to start something, stop something, how much of it to do, how little of it to do. And so getting that message correct is really important. And so I would say, if you could have a hormone that was exactly the same as the hormones you've always made, that message is going to come through crystal clear, and so mistakes won't be made. Now, if the messenger's coming in speaking a language not native to your body, that's where mistakes are made and risks start to develop.
Okay, so talking about risks, why is treating menopause so controversial?
You know, back in the 90s, the National Institute of Health halted 2 studies, one on Premarin and one on Prempro. And at that time, women just jumped off of their hormones out of fear because they discontinued those studies because they were too risky to be ethical to continue. And so what happened was they jumped off of their hormones and landed in a sea of misery. Yeah. I was at the salon one day, which is one of the only places I get the luxury of reading those magazines, and I was thumbing through Redbook. And there was an article that broke my heart, and it was the sad sentiment of the day, and that was, I would rather die from breast cancer than live like this. And I thought to myself, if only women knew they don't have to make that choice. You can have your menopausal cake and eat it too. You know, the way we use bioidentical hormones, women actually are more comfortable than when they were doing their synthetic hormones. And so you don't sacrifice anything in the comfort area. And in fact, with less side effects, they don't put up with headaches and bloating and weight gain like some women do with the synthetic hormones. On the flip side of that, they're actually lowering their risk over doing nothing at all, which I think is news to women.
Sure, and you say that your program is safer than doing nothing at all.
That's right. When you take a hormone in the body and you break it down into something that fights risk, you've got a risk fighter. When you have nothing, you have nothing. And then, just recently, the research is starting to emerge that 80% of the hormone that I use in the way that I use bioidentical hormones, and everybody uses those tools differently, but 80% of that hormone, a hormone called estriol, or E3, that third estrogen, is actually appearing to protect the breast. And that's really important because in synthetic hormones, there is no hormone that comes anywhere near that E3 or that third estrogen. And that's because it's a gentle estrogen and it's considered weak. Now, at the height of your fertility years, that is 80% of your hormone. So it's good enough to get things done in those years. I'm thinking it's good enough to help you get through menopause too.
Sure. Some people would say, though, it's more natural for you to just run out of hormones.
You know, that's a common myth, and that's a good question because the healthiest woman in her menopausal years will have a good steady state sort of half level of hormone. And that's important because your brain, your immune system, your skin, your bones all depend on those hormones to be optimally healthy. So to have none isn't natural and isn't healthy.
Dr. Donnell, why do some women not have as many hormones or have enough as other women?
You know, some women do get to that stage in life very gracefully and they cruise right through it, and bless their hearts. But more and more, you find that women arrive there in a terribly deficient state, which of course compromises quality of life and also quality of health. And the reason that is because after your ovaries are done being the source of those hormones for you, a message is sent to the brain, and then the brain tells your adrenal glands, which is the house of stress, that they should go ahead and share some of what they have to offer with this project of making some estrogen and making some progesterone. Now, if you've lived a completely reasonable life, your adrenal glands will have everything they need to come to the table. Unfortunately, if you've endured a bunch of stressors and weren't really able to take a few years off and rest up, maybe you arrive there and your adrenal glands simply laugh at the request to share what they simply don't have.
Dr. Donnell, I think the other part of this that I think is critical, especially to women of my age, turning 40, that we're premenopausal. What can we do?
You know, there's so much you can do during that premenopausal time. For a long time, gynecologists were denying that that was even a phase, but it truly is a phase, and that's where your estrogen is still coming on strong, but maybe your progesterone really isn't matching that estrogen in a balancing way. And that's where you're going to start to see night sweats, depression, anxiety, migraines can come on even at that stage, and insomnia. And so although you're not really in menopause, you're not really yourself either. And so that's a really simple little balancing act that you can bring to speed if you just look at that phase for what it is. No, it's not menopause, but yes, there is help.
Yeah, and I think that probably the biggest thing that stops me from coming to a doctor like you is like, oh, that screams old when I need to do hormone replacement. How do I get over that? You
know, honestly, I had the same emotional reaction to that. Denial doesn't help. Yeah. I'll put that right out there. Help helps. And so, yes, you don't really want to be that person. You want to fancy yourself maybe still 32.
Yeah.
And maybe not with those life circumstances. You want the wisdom of today, but you want the body of your younger years. And so the truth is you are where you are. You can either help yourself and give your body what it's missing, and you know it's only missing because you've probably led a demanding life, and good for you. You've lived life fully. But give your body what it's missing so it can come into balance, and so you can have the very best of the stage in life instead of getting through white knuckling it.
What are you doing at your practice that's so unique, Dr. Donnell?
Well, I start by using bioidentical hormones. And, you know, a lot of different people out there are using bioidentical hormones, but I use them in a way that most mimics the way the body produces these hormones at each stage of life. For example, the doctors that help Suzanne Summers use bioidentical hormones, but they're using them a little differently. Not saying it's right or wrong, it's just not the way that I do it. So they're using bioidentical hormones in a woman who's in her postmenopausal years in order to achieve a menstrual period for her every month. And so that makes them happy and good for them. Some doctors are out there using bioidentical hormones, but they'll use just the one potent hormone and none of that E3 or that gentle protective estrogen that I use, which makes up 80% of the hormone that I'll recommend. And so that's a little different. And then I would take it one step further. In my practice, when women are using hormones, when women have hormones. So I always say, whether you're taking them or whether you're making them, you have a responsibility to attend to the way they break down in the liver. And we can control that with a simple health-promoting nutritional supplement. And so it's 1 pill a day, it's simple and affordable, but it redirects your hormones to be broken down into something that fight risk and that resolve things like ovarian cysts and fibrocystic breast. It can reverse bad mammograms when you do things that way. PMS can be resolved by doing this. I've gotten calls from spouses. Thank you for giving me back the person I used to know. And so it's really fun to be able to do that work, but at the same time, we're reducing risk for all the different estrogen-related risks in all the estrogen-related tissues. And so it's been very satisfying to be able to do that work. Huge passion for me.
So Dr. Danelle, what kind of results have you seen in your practice?
I see women come in and 2 weeks later they have their life back. Sometimes it takes 3 months. It's very individualized, but for a lot of women it's simple. It's also very affordable. Some of the work that I do for more chronically ill patients, that's a big project and it's not cheap. But hormonal work, by and large, is very affordable. In fact, sometimes more affordable than the prescriptive avenues that they may walk down. And so that's a delightful surprise. What I see is that their sleep comes back, their sanity comes back, their relationships and their ability to be productive at work with clear-mindedness and the ability to handle stress with a lot more patience. I see hot flashes go away, night sweats are resolved. Adult acne can really normalize if your hormones are balanced. Headaches and migraines. You know, for people who have ever suffered with migraines, that's a rare and special and awful pain. And to just make a simple adjustment to the hormones that is affordable and that is right for everything else in your body and to not suffer like that, that's a big result.
Dr. Danelle, let's hear from some of your patients who you've literally changed their lives and saved their marriages.
I had processed off of hormone replacement, and I was a raging, frightening woman. I'd been on the hormone replacement for a very, very, very long time, since I was 36, and I was in my 60s at that point. So I needed some help. I came to see Dr. Danelle, and she regulated the hormones. She got everything calmed down. I became a sane, delightful person to be with. My husband decided I wasn't a terrorist. It's just been life-changing to work with Dr. Danelle.
I saw Dr. Danelle on a morning talk show in Denver. She was talking and it's like, God, I've got all of that. It was the classic. Brain fog, energy level was low, weight gain, mood swings, sleep issues, you name it. First appointment was, probably about 3 hours. She spent 3 hours with me interviewing me. And by the time I left, I had a variety of things to take. And I'm going to tell you, within probably 2 weeks, I wasn't having hot flashes, zero. It was a total physical change, just everything, just everything. You could tell she's passionate about what she does. It's just very high. And I think I responded to that more than anything. Just the whole comfort of coming in and doing it, because it's a big step, because I just got rid of everything else I was taking and only did what she told me, and it was amazing.
Dr. Danelle, thank you for all of your wonderful information. If you would like to learn more about hormones or meet Dr. Danelle to see if she can help you with your health and get your hormones back on track, give our office a call at 303-399-8050 or visit our website at drdanelle.com. And of course, you can always call the office, because Dr. Danelle has an informative lecture on CD that she can give you so that you can get more information. Thanks so much for joining us.